Are you pleased or satisfied with how this is being ran so far from the White House?
100%. I'm pleased, very happy with the speed and the urgency that President Trump has come back to office with. I mean, why would we be surprised? He told us what he was going to do. When he was inaugurated, 11 days ago, he laid out clearly what the plans were, and they have not wasted any opportunity to execute on behalf of the American people. This is the leadership the nation had been missing for 4 years. We're just glad to have him back so we can make this country not just safe, but great and prosperous once again.
He's also, I think, probably greatly inspired by DOGE in trying to cut down this excess spending that we've seen at the federal level. He's called out certain organizations, NGOs, that appear to be getting a lot of funding that help facilitate some of this migration into the country. The president talked about it recently. Here's that.
If immigration officers, what we sometimes call Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, come to your workplace, they must have a valid search warrant or the consent of your employer to enter non-public areas. If you are asked where you were born or how you entered the United States, you may simply refuse to answer or remain silent. If you choose to remain silent, say so out loud.
So, Congressman, that is Catholic Charities, a video that's put out by the organization, and that's one of those NGOs that President Trump was looking into funding for, clearly offering their own ways and advice into how to deal with ICE officials potentially interacting with illegal migrants. Your thoughts on some of these charities and organizations that are assisting with illegal immigration in the country?
My thoughts are clear. If you're getting federal money, you're not allowed to use that to flout federal law or go against the national interest. One of the big problems that we have with illegal immigration are the NGOs. They operate on both sides of the southern border. They are providing aid and comfort, and that is their mission. But the problem is that it is against our laws to enter the country illegally. So our laws say one thing, but unfortunately in Washington for far too long, we have been funding these outside groups that are in opposition to the law. That needs to stop immediately. There's some stuff President Trump can do with halts and reviews of what these NGOs are doing, but that's going to fall back on Congress to go back in there and be either prescriptive that the money that we give to NGOs or to stop giving them the money at all. My colleagues on Capitol Hill, we have a responsibility to get to the bottom of this. Can't keep funding organizations that are against the will of the American voter.
Do you have any thoughts on, obviously, for the president to get a lot of his agenda accomplished, he's going to need a full cabinet. He's not there yet. He's got some key positions filled, but he still has a way to go. Do you have any thoughts or concerns for the Senate right now, the confirmation hearings that are underway to lead the FBI, to lead the HHS, and others?
Well, look, I think all of the president's picks are going to get through. The Senate is doing what the Senate typically does. I would remind my Senate Republican colleagues that you overwhelmingly supported Joe Biden's nominees to be in his cabinet. They all stayed for 4 years, and they were atrocious at their jobs. Give Donald Trump the cabinet he has asked for. Let Donald Trump be the decider of whether they get to stay or go into the future. But on the House side of the Capitol, our big issue is making sure that we get budget reconciliation moving in the House. I've become a strong advocate of 2 bills. I think it's important that we give Tom Homan the money he needs immediately, along with some money for Pete Hegseth at the Department of Defense to move the Department of Defense back into the lethal fighting force it needs to be. And the third piece of that is we do need to move the debt ceiling and budget reconciliation. It makes no sense to give Chuck Schumer any leverage over Donald Trump or congressional Republicans. We need to move debt ceiling as Republicans in budget reconciliation. We can do that quick package I described relatively quickly, get that to the president's desk so the deportation force that does need to be stood up by Tom Homan has the resources it needs, and we can move expeditiously into tax policy, energy policy, any other items we have to get done. So the Senate's going to go through their process, and they're going to get that done. I fully expect that President Trump's going to get his nominees. But in the House, we have to get moving on the congressional agenda so we can get to the desk of the president and we can do the job that we promised the American people we would do.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.